Hello everyone, welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, Friday, December 29th. If you're joining me for the very first time, this is how today's video will be structured. We will not be having a recap since I did not make a video yesterday. I had a couple other things going on yesterday morning, which I kind of said last minute. Unfortunately, I forgot to mention that on Wednesday, so hopefully you guys had an alright slate last night. I did post my player pool up on Patreon as well, so definitely be sure to check that out. I think I made it free even yesterday too, since I was not able to make a video, but otherwise on the daily it's a small monthly donation over there. But for today's video, we're just going to be going over the injuries in play. It will be an 8-game main slate. There's 10 games in total going on, but the last 2 games are chopped off on both DraftKings and FanDuel tonight. And then we'll get moved over to DraftKings and FanDuel and talk about my core picks. It's going to be one player at each position. So point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. But without further ado, we'll get into the injuries in play for tonight's slate. So if you look at the big slate, the whole 10 games, there's 6 teams on back-to-back. If you look at the only 8-game slate that we're playing for the main slate today, there will be 3 teams on the back-to-back. So we won't talk too much about those teams just in general. But we will start off with the New York Knicks, who have Jericho Sims out once again. So nothing new here. It's pretty much what we've seen as of late for this team overall. For the Orlando Magic, Markelle Fultz, Joel Ingles, both out once again tonight. Gary Harris listed as questionable to play with a calf injury. I would assume that he's probably out once again tonight. And then Jonathan Isaac, dealing with a hamstring injury, also listed as questionable to play. We'll see whether or not he plays tonight or not. And then we move over to the Brooklyn Nets, who rested a lot of guys the other night, so they didn't do too out against the Bucks, and even the guys they played only played minimal minutes at the beginning of the game, it seemed like. So pretty interesting strategy there. And if you had some of their deeper guys coming off their bench in that game, so kind of their third unit just in general, you probably did all right on that slate overall. But for today, they're without Ben Simmons, Lonnie Walker once again, so no real changes from that perspective. And then we have Dorian Finney-Smith and Nick Claxton. Both this is probable to play tonight, so pretty much full strength as what we've seen out of them as of late, minus their most recent game. Then for the Washington Wizards, it's just Gallinari listed as questionable. He's dealing with a back injury at this point in time. We'll see whether or not he plays or not. But he's probably not anybody we'd be getting to for DFS purposes on an 8-game main slate just in general. Kings appear to be all the way healthy at this point in time. And then for the Atlanta Hawks, we got Gaye, Hunter, and Lundy all out tonight. So Lundy's the newest one there. Doesn't really play minutes anyways. So nothing too crazy there. We did see Jalen Johnson make his return in their most recent game, and they did start Saddiq Bey and Jalen Johnson together in that game. So nothing too crazy to say here about this Hawks team. The Hawks and the Kings are both going to look pretty good tonight since both these teams do not play a whole lot of defense. Then we move down to the Toronto Raptors. Christian Coloco's out once again, and then Garrett Temple's listed as doubtful tonight. He's dealing with an ankle injury. If I was being honest, didn't even realize Garrett Temple was actually on the Raptors team at this point in time. He's played 6 games in total all year and averaging about 3 minutes per game in those games. So not a major part of their rotation by any means, not even a regular part of their rotation. So pretty much what we've seen out of Toronto as of late. The one thing that we'll keep an eye on is see if Gary Trent starts once again tonight or if they go back to Dennis Schroeder, who came off the bench in their most recent game. The Boston Celtics are on the back-to-back. We saw Jaylen Brown miss yesterday, so we'll see whether or not he's good to go tonight or not. And then, kind of per usual, you will see Al Horford sit out the second half of the back-to-back. But if there's anything else Boston Celtics-wise, will be listed down in the comments as the day moves along. And then we're going to get over to the Milwaukee Bucks. Jay Crowder's out once again. Giannis listed is probable to play. So pretty much what we've seen out of them as of late. And then we move over to Cleveland Cavaliers, who have Darius Garland, Ty Jerome, Evan Mobley, and Ricky Rubio. All this is out once again, so no real changes there. Sam Merrill listed as questionable. He missed their most recent game with a wrist injury. And then Donovan Mitchell has missed the last 4 games due to illness. So he's questionable once again tonight. Is this a real illness? Is it a Fugazi illness? Are they holding him out for a trade? Is he holding out for a trade? A lot of different factors that could be in play here. Obviously, if he plays, he's playable, but if he doesn't play, then Craig Porter Jr. is going to look pretty good once again tonight. Then we move down to the Philadelphia 76ers. Nick Batum and Joel Embiid both remain out, so pretty much what we've seen out of them in their 2 most recent games. And then we move over to the Rockets side, where there could be a little bit of value today. So Victor Oladipo remains out, and then Jabari Smith and Dillon Brooks do join him. Dillon Brooks did miss their most recent game. So it'll be interesting to see what the starting lineup ultimately ends up looking like. Jayshawn Tate started in place of Dillon Brooks last game. And then probably safe to assume that Tari Eason starts in place of Jamari Smith Jr., but, could be Jeff Green and then keep Eason off the bench. A lot of guys that could and ultimately end up being value plays for this Houston team just in general. So they're going to look pretty interesting today. Then we move over to Oklahoma City Thunder. Jalen Williams, the center, is listed as questionable, dealing with a little bit of hip injury, but not playing major minutes. So not a guy you're going to do for DFS purposes once again. And then the Denver Nuggets are on the back-to-back. We'll see if anybody else is out today, but Cam Carr and Aaron Gordon, we do know both of them are going to be out once again tonight. The Charlotte Hornets are also on a back-to-back, so we'll see what their injury report looks like as the day moves along. And then on the Phoenix Suns side, Damon Lee remains out, and Bradley Beal is now listed as questionable. So he's been dealing with an ankle injury. Supposedly he's ahead of schedule. He might play tonight, or they might just keep him out and then play him on Sundays. So just keep an eye out on that in general. I don't think it opens up like any big value anyways because he's been out for a while. But if he plays, maybe he's a little bit interesting, but probably not playing enough minutes to truly matter for, kind of playing that third role for this Phoenix Suns team just in general. And then we move down to San Antonio Spurs. They are also on a back-to-back today. We know Devontae Graham's going to be out once again. We'll see if anybody else joins him. And then on the opposite side, the Portland Trailblazers also on the back-to-back, so we'll see who's out for them tonight. And then we get over to the Memphis Grizzlies. Grizzlies are on a back-to-back too. Ja Morant missed yesterday due to illness, so we'll see whether or not he plays tonight or not. And then the Clippers are one of these teams that are not on the back-to-back on the back half of today's slate, but Mason Plumlee remains out, and then Kawhi Leonard and Diabate are both listed as questionable to play. Safe to assume that Diabate is probably going to be out once again today because he's had, like a pinched nerve in his hip or something like that. So unfortunately, that sounds like a pretty painful injury for him, but wasn't a major part of the rotation either way, though. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for today's slate. Once again, 3 teams on the back-to-back for the main slate, 6 teams on the back-to-back in total. So I will have all those injury reports listed down in the comments as the day moves along, as well as all the starting lineups as they do come out throughout the night. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my picks over there. So on the FanDuel side, we're going to start off at the point guard position. This was probably the toughest position for me just in general to pick out today. So I ultimately ended up on Craig Porter Jr. He's $6,600. You're looking for at least 33 out of him. This is going to be a pick that could change throughout the day if Donovan Mitchell ends up playing and Craig Porter Jr. comes off the bench in that situation. If Craig Porter Jr. starts, if Donovan Mitchell is out, which I don't like assuming most of the time, but in this case, he's been out for 4 straight games. It's this weird illness. Might be some other things behind it. Kind of safe to assume that maybe he's out once again today. But Craig Porter Jr. plus matchup against the Bucks today. He's playing about 30 minutes a night, and he's been doing really well as of late. So if he ultimately ends up starting, if there is no Donovan Mitchell once again, currently I'm projected for 35, 36 fantasy points tonight, but definitely could have some upside for more and a pretty good pace-up spot versus the Bucks just in general tonight. Then we move down to shooting guard with DeAnthony Melton. I think there's a couple different options that you could choose as shooting guard, whether it's him, whether it's Chris Middleton, whether it's Karis LeVert, who's going to look a lot better if Donovan Mitchell's out as well. But ultimately ended up with the safer option, it seems, in DeAnthony Melton. $6,100, looking for 30, 31 out of him at the minimum. It's kind of what I have projected for at this point in time. I think 31's pretty safe. It is a little bit tougher matchup against the Houston Rockets, but they are pretty banged up at this point in time. So even with the 76ers missing Joel Embiid, this should be a pretty back and forth game, and I think DeAnthony Melton should get a little bit of a bump up just because of that, just in general. So I do like him as kind of that safe play at that shooting guard position, but a guy that could potentially change throughout the day as well. Then we go to his teammate at small forward and Tobias Harris, $6,800. So he is still too cheap with no Joel Embiid out there. If you look at his price tag on DraftKings, $6,800. If you look at it on FanDuel, $7,900. That tells you something. Looking for at least 34 out of him. Currently I'm projected for 36. That's what he got us last time, but the 2 games before that were even bigger. So 35, 36 feels like a pretty safe floor for him, but he definitely does have a ton of upside for more at the same time as well. And then in power forward, we're going to go down to Cam Johnson. Maybe a pick that changes throughout the day. You could go look at Tari Eason as well. A couple $100 more, but has pretty similar upside, maybe even greater upside, but there is a little bit of risk with him too, coming off that leg injury that he's been dealing with kind of off and on throughout the year. How many minutes can he actually play tonight? We're going to go Cam Johnson. Good matchup tonight versus the Washington Wizards. Pace-up spot, a team that doesn't play a lot of defense just in general. $5,700. You're looking for at least 29 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for 30, 31 tonight, so looks like a pretty strong play to start the day. Maybe it's a guy that changes throughout the day, but at least at this point in time, he's going to look like a pretty good option just for them in general. And the Wizards are a team that do give up a good chunk of three-pointers at the same time as well. Then last but not least, at the center position, we're going with Nikola Jokic. He's just too cheap at this point in time. $11,200. Looking for at least 56 out of him. Going against Oklahoma City tonight. Should be a pretty back-and-forth game just in general. I'm not really too afraid of Chet Holmgren versus him, but Jokic is going to look a little bit better even with no Aaron Gordon out there. A couple extra rebounds, a couple extra assists potentially to go around, which he doesn't have a problem with just in general. Coming off a really strong performance last night. As long as he's playing out there tonight, he's going to look pretty good overall. Currently, I'm projected for 60 to 61 points, which is pretty much in line with what he's been averaging so far on the season. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you'll have $13,600 remaining, just over $4,500 per player. So we're going to have to find a little bit of value as the day moves along. So hopefully some of these back-to-backs open up some stuff. Hopefully some injury news opens up a little bit as well. Otherwise, we might be looking a little bit more like a balance build type of day. Maybe Craig Porter Jr. gets knocked down to somebody else. Maybe we knock Nikola Jokic down to a little bit cheaper center, although I really do like him at this price tag tonight at $11,200. A lot of different ways that we can approach this slate overall. Should make for a pretty interesting day and a pretty interesting slate tonight. But with that being said, we'll move over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So we're going to start off at the point guard position once again with Craig Porter Jr. Once again, point guard was kind of the hardest position for me today overall. If you're looking at pay-up options, you got Trae Young and De'Aaron Fox, both in a great environment there. Both could look really good, but obviously you have to play 2 point guards just in general on FanDuel. So Craig Porter Jr. looks like a pretty reasonable option. If he starts, he's going to look pretty good. If Donovan Mitchell doesn't play, he's going to look even better. Playing about 30 minutes a night. Good pace-up spot versus the Bucks. Do like him for, about that 35 to 36 points out of him tonight. And pretty similar price tag to DraftKings where you're looking for at least 33 out of him. Then we move down to shooting guard with Gary Trent Jr., $4,900. Look for at least 25 out of him tonight. He joined that starting lineup the last time out. He's been playing bigger minutes as of late. Been playing pretty well as of late too. Tougher matchup tonight against Boston just in general, but kind of a cheap option out there. Currently I'm projected for 25, 26. If he's in that starting lineup, he's just going to look like a really good value on tonight's slate overall. Maybe there's somebody else throughout the day that opens up that makes him look a little bit worse though, but that kind of remains to be seen at this point in time. Then at small forward, we're going to go with Jayshawn Tate. $3,800 for a guy that will be in the starting lineup tonight. Guy that should play pretty big minutes. A guy that is pretty versatile piece for them. Can do a little bit of everything. Probably gets a little bit of bump up with no Jabari Smith out there as well, even though Tari Eason's going to eat up a bunch of usage when he's out there on the court. Should be a pretty back and forth game. You're not going to find too many starters on tonight's slate for $3,800. So just a cheap value option that looks really good. When you look at him on DraftKings, he's $4,500, which pretty much in line with what he projects for today. But on FanDuel, where he's $3,800, you're only looking for at least 19 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for about 21 tonight. Might get you 22, 23, maybe a little bit of upside for more. But, at this point in time, he's just a cheap value pay down option. Then at power forward, we're going to Cam Johnson on FanDuel as well. $5,800 looking for 29 out of him. Same great matchup against the Washington Wizards tonight. They are a team that do give up 3-pointers in bunches at times. It's a pace-up spot just in general. There is always a chance that maybe Brooklyn blows them out, but Brooklyn's not one of those teams that typically runs away from other teams at the same time. So do like Cam Johnson tonight. If he's playing 28 or more minutes, he's going to look really good. Currently, I'm projected for about 30 points tonight, but definitely could have some upside for more at the same time as well. And then last but not least, we're going to the center position with Paul Reed today. $5,900. Once again, there is no Joel Embiid. If you really wanted to get to like Mo Bamba, you could in this spot too, but kind of pick your poison which guy you think it's going to be for Philadelphia. Greater chance that it's probably going to be Paul Reed, but the fact that we think that, maybe it just ends up being the opposite today. Obviously, foul trouble could always happen, and these guys are pretty similar at the same time. But do like him today. I like the upside that he could present overall. You're looking for at least 29, 30 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for 31, 32. If he's out there, if he's playing big minutes, he's going to look like a really good play tonight overall, especially with no Joel Embiid out there on the court. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed on FanDuel, you have $33,100 remaining. Just under $8,300 per player. So a lot more room and flexibility on the FanDuel side than you do have over on DraftKings, but we have a couple other value options on FanDuel that we didn't have quite as well on the DraftKings side. You could look at Gary Trent on DraftKings if you wanted to. He's $5,200 there. You can actually play him at point guard over there, so that makes him a little bit more interesting, especially if you get news like Craig Porter Jr. is not starting or Donovan Mitchell's playing. Then maybe we knock Craig Porter Jr. out and then knock Gary Trent in over there, but that kind of remains to be seen at this point in time. Do like the options that we do have for FanDuel just in general. Like we got some really good pay down options. We'll be able to pay up for some guys if that's something we want to do. Or if you kind of want to balance it out the rest of the way, about $8,300 per player, that's definitely something you could do at the same time as well. And then, if you really wanted to pay up at that center position to Nikola Jokic, you could definitely do that from Paul Reed as well. But he is $1,000 more than he is over on the DraftKings side. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, December 29th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to drop them down in the comments below, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, be sure to note whether those questions are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific, just so I can best help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then, as always, I'll be listing all the injury updates as they do come out throughout the day, as well as the starting lineups as they do come out throughout the night. And then about 15 to 20 minutes prior to lock, I will have my updated core, which will be left as a pinned comment. If there's no changes at that point in time, I'll just leave a comment that says no changes at this point in time to the core, which I do expect there's going to be some for tonight's slate overall. So definitely make sure you're checking up on that as we do get closer to lock. But with that being said, if you are brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now we have NBA DFS Monday through Friday in terms of the core pick videos, minus yesterday, which those very, very rare situations when that does come up, I either have to have lost my voice, not feeling real well, or having something major kind of scheduled at that point in time. But pretty much Monday through Friday, you can expect the NBA DFS core pick videos. Once NFL is over, I might be able to sneak in Sundays as well, but at this point in time, trying to limit it a little bit. And then tomorrow, I will try to have out my NFL DFS player pool video. It might come out as a video, it might come out as a live stream, just kind of depends on how my day is going at that point in time. If it's a live stream, it will either be Saturday night or Sunday morning. We'll just kind of have to see how that all works out at this point in time. A lot going on right now. For those of you who do not know, I just started a new job working overnights at the same time as well. But as always, I will have my NFL DFS cheat sheets up on the sports affiliation website for both FanDuel and DraftKings for the main slate. So definitely be sure to check out those as well. They are 100% free over there. And then if you're interested in my big player pool on the Patreon, definitely get signed up over there at the same time. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting whatsoever, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for BetUS, Parlay Play, and Prize Picks. If you are a brand new user to any one of those three sites, when you make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. For Parlay Play and Prize Picks, it's 100% match up to $100. For BetUS, it's 125% of your initial deposit up to $2,500. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. If you have any other additional questions related to sports betting or prop betting in general, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comments or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to discuss that with you as well and help you out as you start that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS tonight.